Welcome back to the Joe Mack podcast. I have a very special guest. Her name's Katie Barrie. She is a phenomenal person. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm going to let you introduce yourself today. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. I don't want to introduce myself.
You're,
I'm a mom. That's what today's about, I guess.
that is what today's about. She's a mother of two. Is that correct? Three. Oh my goodness.
Yes, I know. It's a little crazy.
That's a little crazy. Congratulations on that. She's a fellow NSU graduate. We both graduated Norfolk State in the mass communications program. She's top notch in her field, and she recently relocated right here to Los Angeles. She's currently a producer. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm actually a co-executive producer. Very exciting.
Co-executive producer. Can you talk a little bit about your job and what you do?
Yeah. So, yes, I graduated Norfolk State. I'm excited about that. I love my time at Norfolk State. All my teachers were amazing.
Absolutely.
And when did we graduate? 2011, I graduated.
Me too.
And yeah, 2011. It seems like forever ago, doesn't it?
It seems like yesterday to me.
Oh God, it feels like, I don't know, a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
And I had time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a co-executive producer. I moved out here from Virginia.
Uh-huh.
I'm currently working on a show for HGTV. It's new, so I can't really announce like all the details, but I moved out here for a job on a show called Haunting in the Heartland. I have a big background in paranormal shows. In Virginia, I worked on a show called A Haunting, and so made the move, made the jump, terrifying, but did it. And came to a wonderful company called Ample Entertainment. They have a lot of amazing stuff happening and a lot of amazing productions happening. They're really not a one-trick pony. They're kind of known as a filmmaker's production house. So they take a very cinematic, very filmmaker's production standpoint. So everything they do is very high-end, and I've just been really blessed to be involved in a lot of different projects there over the past year. My year date starting with the company, I think was May 6th. So I've officially been there for a year and somehow managed to have a year of employment in LA. So I'm very thankful that I can feed my children.
Well, yeah, that's a good thing. Congratulations on your position. I mean, that's really fantastic. I mean, did you ever imagine that you would be moving to the West Coast?
No, I literally had no desire to move to LA whatsoever. Everyone was like, you got to move out to LA. It's where it's happening. And I was like, LA, ew. Like, I don't want to move to Hollywood. And I was like, why is it so expensive out there? Everyone's just so bougie. I have no desire. I like it here in Virginia. I would speak every year at Norfolk State at our mass communications, like our MCJR week. And the biggest thing I would preach about is like, you don't have to move to Hollywood. We used to have this, there used to be this organization called Hampton Roads to Hollywood. It was about people in the 757 and Hampton Roads making it to Hollywood. And I was always like, man, that's not like, let's focus on Hampton Roads. Like we have so much happening here, but I really have no desire to move out here.
When did you finally decide to make the move, and how did you get linked up with this new job at Ample Entertainment as a co-producer?
I decided to make the move. I think that God had been stirring in my heart for a long time that just new adventures were out there. And I think the same for my husband. Like we were just ready for the next thing. We loved Hampton Roads. We still love Hampton Roads, and it's all of our friends and our family are there. And, you know, we just love that community. It's where we grew up. It's our first house. It's, you know, where my kids they were all born at DePaul Hospital. Like my Norfolk State family was there. Like everyone knew me. I was Mrs. Virginia. So like,
that's right.
I didn't want to move. Like, you know, that was my place.
Yeah.
My people. But I think that in this world and in this world of production, you're never going to move up unless you're willing to take that leap of faith. And so we were both kind of there. Charles and I were both there. And we were a little burnt out. Like having two parents both working is really, really challenging. And this opportunity allowed one of us to stay at home. And so I think overall it was a better fit for our family. So we were actually on vacation to Kansas, which I know is a very confusing statement to say you're on vacation to Kansas.
Yeah. Right.
No offense, Kansas, but there's not a lot there.
Yeah.
So we were on vacation to Kansas. We were basically like, we're unplugging. My husband's like really into disc golf, and there's this huge disc golf event there. So I agreed because I'm an amazing wife. I agreed to go to Kansas. And we went on vacation to Kansas. For the first time in a long time, I had time to answer the phone and talk to my friends. So I had a friend call me who I worked with on a haunting in Virginia a long time ago. And she said, hey, how are you doing? Like, I've been seeing your Instagram posts or pictures. Where are you? Why are you in some random town? And she was like, I told her the whole story. And she was like, well, you know, I have this really interesting opportunity. I have a friend looking for a supervising producer. Would you be willing to make the move to LA? And I was like, there is no way that I am going to move to LA, and neither is my husband. Like, my husband Charles was in the military, and he's just very conservative, and you know, it's not exactly what you think about as when you think about LA as conservative and just, you know, quiet. Charles likes a lot of greenery, a lot of open space. That's not what you think about when you think about places like New York and LA. But yeah, she's like, just take the call. So I took the call and talked with the company. And when he got back from his tournament that day, I kind of talked to him about it. And immediately he's like, let's think about it. Let's like really think about it. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, is this my husband? Where did he go? But yeah, we ended up, long story short, we made the move. We jumped on it. I ended up moving my entire house in 5 days. A house that we had bought when we were 21, got married in, had our 3 kids in, lived in for 13 years, like packed it all in 5 days.
Wow.
And moved across country. So it was a lot. It was very exciting, terrifying, very terrifying to make that leap. But at the end of the day, I thought, what's the worst that's going to happen? We're going to move and we're going to hate it, but we'll all be together and we'll come back. Like, but if you don't take that opportunity, you never know.
Yeah.
So that was our biggest thing. It's like, who knows when this will ever happen? I don't think there's ever like a good time to move. Who wants to actually pack up a bunch of boxes and move across the country? No one. But our life has definitely, as a family, it's been so much better out here. It's just like it's really funny. We moved to LA, one of the busiest places in the entire country, and we have more time as a family than we've ever had. So I think moving allowed us to kind of rethink about our lives, what we wanted out of our lives, and like reconfigure that.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So, yeah, I mean, that's a very big move, moving from the East Coast to the West Coast. I mean, I did it over about 7 years ago. And yeah, it's definitely a journey. It's definitely a changing experience. And now, just to recap, you got a call from a friend while you were in Kansas saying, hey, I got an opportunity. It's in Los Angeles. You're thinking, I have no desire to move there, but you are the type of person that said, hey, look, I'm going to at least take the call and hear what the opportunity is before I make a decision. Is that kind of what your thought process was?
Yeah, 100%. I think in the field of mass communications, like, you have no idea where your next big break is going to come from. You have no idea what, and I guess it can really be applied to any degree, any business. You have no idea, you know, your mailman may be a CEO in 3 years. Like, you have no idea. So
Right.
You have no idea like where these opportunities and connections are going to take you. And for me as a person, I pride myself on not making connections for business reasons. I genuinely want to know people and have connections for real. And if something springs out of that, great, like God will bless me through that. But first, I want to get to know people. When I speak every year at MCJR, the biggest thing that I speak about is people are like, how can you network? What's the best way to network? And people are always so focused on networking in terms of like, let me get to know this person so that they can do X, Y, and Z for me. And that's not networking. Like that's you trying to get something out of someone versus like, let me form a relationship with this person. And
Okay.
like actually really get to know them as a person. And if, you know, I believe in God and Jesus. And so like, if I believe that if it's meant to be, he'll work it all out and he'll put that opportunity in place through those people. But whatever you believe in, like it's either meant to be or it's not. So like whatever the universe has for me, it will have for me. Meant to be, it will happen for me. So I've never been so concerned with like, I got to network and meet this person so they can get me that job. If that job is going to come to me, it's going to come to me. It's more important to meet people and know people and form a relationship that will serve you so much better because then you'll have friends. So I think that was a huge thing in my story too, you know.
Wow. Fantastic. So I think I'm going to take a page out of your book and basically what you're saying is networking comes down to building a relationship first and then seeing what you can contribute to that person's life and vice versa versus, hey, what can I get from this person?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, how many times has someone reached out to you via email like, hey, I met you at the coffee exchange. I'd love to send you my resume. And I'm like, cool, who are you? Like
right.
like, you know what I mean? Like, especially in our business, in this world, like you're working 14-hour days, 16, it's Mother's Day. I worked this morning since 5 o'clock. Happy to do it. Love it. It's my passion. But like, it's different than, it's not just nothing's a transaction in this business. It's all interrelational. It's, you're doing life with these people. So I think that's been the biggest difference in my career is like, I don't want to just go do a job. I want to like make a difference at my job. I want to make a difference in the people that I'm surrounded with. I want to leave a lasting impression, a good impression on everyone around me and like make their life better.
Have you always been that way?
I think naturally as humans, we have to work at that. I don't think I'm perfect by any means. I think I get a lot of that from my dad.
Okay.
My dad was a salesman and my dad could sell ice to an Eskimo. He could convince you that like whatever he was selling, this sponge, you know, was like, you had to have it. And not only did you have to have it, it was going to make your life better. But he had this innate ability to like make you feel like you were the most important person he had ever met. Like he would maybe only meet a customer for 3 minutes or 50 seconds. But in those 50 seconds, you like had all his attention. And he like would pick up on these details and ask you these questions. And like, it wasn't transactional, it was relational. And I think I learned that from an early age of like seeing that and seeing him connect to people and how much joy it brought them. And then therefore brought him. So, so my dad was a salesperson. I tell people I grew up in a flea market. Like I grew up in a carnival. Literally my parents were both in sales, and my dad, they kind of owned their own like sales company. And they had almost like Walgreens, like a small like 5 and dime store. And so they were on vacation in Florida, and my dad never knew a stranger. He would talk to people at every restaurant. Like going out to dinner with him was awful because you never like went out to dinner with him. You like went out to dinner with the whole restaurant. And so basically they were on vacation in Florida and he would just buy stuff. He probably had a buying problem, but he got into conversation with someone. He ended up buying a semi-truck full of wrapping paper. Like, what do you do with a semi-truck full of wrapping paper? And so he came back to my mom and he was like, I just bought a semi-truck full of wrapping paper. And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, we got to offload it now. Like, we're on vacation in Florida. What do we do? So they took that semi-truck full of wrapping paper to the flea market that weekend just to kind of get rid of it before they went back to Michigan. And they made $10,000 like in one day in like 1986.
Wow.
So he was like, this is what we're going to do. So they ended up basically investing in flea markets, and they had their own flea market, and then just would have like corner stores at flea markets. So my whole childhood was spent traveling the country from flea market to flea market in the summer. And wow. I really think I fell in love with storytelling then, because my dad kind of had this shtick, and he was a salesperson, and he had this story and this design behind it, and he had his pitch, and it was all very well thought out and well designed. And like, I kind of fell in love with that world of like storytelling and traveling. A little bit of every day was a little different, and you meet all these weird and interesting people, and the people that make America. And yeah, from a very early age, that's kind of really what shaped me as wanting to. I think that's why I'm in this business, is it shaped me into being here and wanting to do the same thing. It's not much different than what I do now, Yeah.
Wow. Very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, that explains a lot. You have a very entrepreneurial type spirit, and obviously you're from what I've known you, very much a people person. People enjoy being around you. People enjoy your company, and everybody I know has very high regarding things to say about you. So it's kind of interesting to get a little snapshot of your backstory. And just to recap, so both of your parents were professional salespeople, and they were entrepreneurs in a sense as well. And
yeah. My mom, I don't know if my mom was the first, but she was one of the first. She was a female buyer for, I think, Dayton Hudson's back in the day. She'll tell me if I'm wrong. But yeah, my mom's a boss, man. She could handle it, and she managed, having 2 kids and that lifestyle too, and traveling. And it was a very eclectic childhood. We've met a lot of interesting people. There's a little bit of like Tiger King life in there. There's like a lot of weird names, a lot of interesting people. I had an open ticket to the funnel cake booth, so that's why I still have a problem with carbohydrates to this day. But like, yeah, a very fun, interesting life. And I think it continues to this day. Communications, being in television, for me, I live a little bit of a gypsy lifestyle. Like, I'm traveling constantly. I'm meeting new people. I'm going to the most random places across America, but I'm seeing everything. And the journeys and the stories I get to tell have been such a pleasure to tell. It's been such a fun journey, and I'm excited to continue to see where it grows and develops. And yeah.
Fantastic. Wow. So how long have you, just to recap, how long have you been in Los Angeles now?
A year and 4 days, I guess.
1 year and 4 days. So from the time that you arrived till this point exactly now, what has your assessment been? I mean, where do you see yourself going from here?
I honestly think that we could live here for the rest of our lives, which I don't know that I ever thought that would be our reality. I think if you want to be involved in show business, you have to go where show business happens. And not that I think it's not possible. I had a 10-year career in Virginia, and I'm very thankful for that time there. I was at a company called New Dominion Pictures, and I grew so much. They allowed me to learn so much, and I'm so thankful for that time. But I think, in order to be able to take your career to the next step, you have to go, where it happens. So, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. So New Dominion Pictures, what was that? That was a company that was in Virginia where was this after graduation?
Yeah, so basically what happened was in college, I was like, I'm going to be the next Katie Couric. I was so focused on news. I didn't want anything but news. I wanted to be a reporter on camera, nightly news. That was my jam.
Yeah. Right.
It was.
Yeah.
I had the perfect like helmet hair and shoulder pads. That was my thing.
Yeah.
You remember?
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that real quick. So, and let's just bring the audience up to speed. You and I attended the same university under the same program, which basically focused on TV news, broadcasting, writing and reporting, and journalism. TV anchor and basically TV field, like anything within media, hosting, announcing. That's what that program was geared towards, and it was a very prestigious program at Norfolk State. Can you get a little bit into that and what your takeaways were from that before we get into the career stuff?
Yeah, so Norfolk State is an HBCU. So for anyone who doesn't know what that means, it's a historically Black college or university. As you can see, Joe Mack and I are both not Black. So I love to point that out. People are like, you went to a Black college, but you're not Black. And I'm like, people, they allow white people to come in. They love us. It's okay. We love them. They love us. We're on the same team. So when I moved, Charles was in the Navy, and I moved to Virginia. I was at University of Central Florida, and I was finishing my degree. And I wanted to move because we got married. So we moved, and I got accepted to Norfolk State, Hampton, and Old Dominion University. Old Dominion was really focused on writing. They didn't have a big on-camera presence, and I just wanted to be on camera. And so I was really looking at Hampton and Norfolk State. When I went into Norfolk State, it's an older college. It's been updated since we went there, but it was a bit of an older college when we went there. The facilities were a little bit older. And when I went in, I at first was like, I'm not so sure about this. And then when I walked in, Dr. Brockington and Dr. Tickton, who Dr. Brockington was the chairman, or was the chairperson, I'm probably saying this wrong, she was in charge of the entire mass comm division. And then Dr. Tickton, I don't know how you describe him. He's like the OG of Norfolk State. He's
Yeah.
but we love him. So these two prestigious professors were there, and they were trying to figure out how to help a student graduate. Like I was waiting to like talk to them about the program, and they were in there trying to help figure out how to get a student to graduate because they had a job opportunity like in New York, and they were like, we gotta, provide some independent studies. If he could do these independent studies, he'd be able to graduate and go take this job. And I was like, what is happening? Like professors, number one, care about their students, and like they're trying to get them to graduate instead of trying to keep them in the class and make more money from them. So I was like overwhelmed. I was like, I'm in, sign me up. So I ended up doing, I think almost like 2.5 years. I switched majors, and I can say without a doubt, the only reason that I'm still in this career and doing so well is because of my professors at Norfolk State. Dr. Brockington, Dr. Tickton, Mr. Upfer, Dr. Briggs, like they shaped me, and more importantly of shaping me, I think they helped me get into internships and knock down walls, and like they knew that I was in it, and because I was in it, they were pushing so hard for me. I mean, I still talk to all of them to this day. I was messaging with Dr. Brockington this morning on Facebook. So they're very much still involved in my life, and I owe Norfolk State a debt of gratitude, and hopefully when I'm wealthy someday I can give them money.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up. So a little side note is that I actually have a hour-long interview with Dr. Brockington. She was the department chair. She worked at Norfolk State for her career was 40 years, actually. The program was geared towards basically mass communications and journalism, all forms of media. That's what you and I were interested in. You wanted to be a TV news person primarily. I wanted to be in radio, which I did, obviously, for an amount of time. And man, I got to agree with you. These were really top-notch professional instructors. I mean, the only reason, me personally, that I was able to graduate from Norfolk State is because the government paid for my schooling, because I qualified for the post 9/11 GI Bill after military service. And, you know, that, but it really, that experience really opened my eyes to professionalism of those instructors. You know, they were really, really top notch, and they really actually genuinely cared about the students, which really kind of surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole reason I went there, is they literally, they were getting a student to graduate. Like, that was their utmost concern, is they wanted him to continue on and do well. And I think that's why HBCUs specifically are so different and so amazing, is like, they're really trying to make a difference in their students' lives. Like, it's not just like, thank you very much for your expensive tuition. Like, they care. And so I urge everyone that I talk to think about going to an HBCU. Like, the caliber of the professors, the caliber of the teaching is amazing. And a lot of times they just don't get the credit that they deserve. But Norfolk State was amazing. I enjoyed my time there. I learned so much about just real life and diversifying and growing my worldview, I think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And understanding people in general. And yeah, I mean, I promise, when I become wealthy, I'm going to send you money, Norfolk State. I promise.
Well, you know, we just started on that note, we just started I'm saying we, like I really had a big part in it, but a chapter for Southern California for Norfolk State has been started. I know I'm a part of it. I know you're joining up soon.
Yeah, they just messaged me yesterday, so I'm going to reach out to them, join, and I'm excited about it.
I've met some great people so far. I mean, these are really good people to know. They're in our locale area, so I mean, this is just great. Now, after you graduated, what happened from there? Yeah,
so I graduated, and I throughout my schooling, they only, I think, require you to have one internship through college. I had probably 5. I just started taking internships, like, not even credited, which I don't know that it was legal, but I was like, let's do this. Because for me, it was all about creating that into the companies. Because my husband was in the Navy, I didn't really have the opportunity to relocate. He was all for it. He was like, look, if you need to go to like Nebraska and take a year contract for some news gig, do it. Like, you've been there for me. But I didn't want to do that. We've spent so much time apart that I didn't want to do that. So I had been interning and working at all the local news stations. I think Channel 10 was the only news station I didn't work at. But I worked at Channel 3, I worked at WHRO, I worked at, which was the PBS affiliate. I worked at a bunch of the city stations. And, you know, occasionally they would hire me and give me a little money for doing a little spot. And I had an in, and I was about to start as like a weekend associate producer, kind of. Possibly they would allow me to do some on-camera work, and then budgets kind of froze up. And so I went from like being the person who was going to graduate college with that job already lined up. Like, I'd worked so hard. I took every semester at North State, I took 24 credits. I had 2 internships. I was working full-time at Panera Bread, and then I was bartending at Ruby Tuesdays.
Wow.
And yeah, they used to call me Jamaican at Norfolk State, because they're like, you got 9 jobs. Like, why do you have 9 jobs? But anyway, so I was just like the hard worker. Like, I'm gonna have a job when I get out of college. And it didn't happen. It was all lined up and it fell through. And I was devastated. I felt like just everything that I'd been working for was like ruined right before it actually happened. So a friend of mine who I worked with at WHRO reached out and they said, you should really look at the city's channels. You could get on air like as a reporter so much easier there. So I took an interview at a city channel and they were like, you're really great. We think you could have a great fit here, but we really just, our budget has recently been cut. We don't have a lot of money, so I don't think we're gonna be able to hire you full time. So I was devastated, went to my job at Panera Bread. I worked at Panera in Ghent, which is like the bougie downtown area. And I was like angry, slicing bagels every day. These wealthy women would come in and be like, my bagel is sliced 60-40, not 50-50. And I'm like angry and devastated. And I'm just like, here's our bagel. Like, why are you talking to me about bagels? I should be on the news. And then to make matters worse, the entire Channel 3 news department, like that's where it was in Ghent. And so they would come on their break and I would be serving this news department their bagels and their Panera Bread. And I was just like, you have the career that I desperately want. Take me with you. Nope. You know, I'm thankful for Panera Bread. Let me just put that out there. They got me through college, but I was ready to be in my career. So you, Joe Mack, you actually, you told me about this gig. You were like, look, you've done a lot of musical theater. You do some, I at the time was Mrs. Virginia. You're like, you should do some acting work. I just did this acting gig for this company called M2 Pictures.
Yep.
You should do this gig.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, I'll try this. So I submit my resume and I end up getting like a lead role in some Discovery ID show. I married a serial killer or something. I don't know, some crazy crime show. So I get booked. I think I made like $1,900 or like $11. It was a lot of money for me at the time. It was like a whole week gig. And I had never even known that kind of television was made in Hampton Roads. Like I had no clue. I was so news focused that I was like, what is happening? So I go on set and I'm very intrigued by all these people. I mean, there's like, you know, multiple cameras, there's crafty, like it's a full on set. It was legit. And I just start talking to people and getting to know them. I'm like, how'd you get in this business? Where'd you start? All this stuff. And they keep on saying, well, I used to work at this company called New Dominion Pictures. I worked at this company called New Dominion Pictures. So I'm like, what is this company? And then I went on that interview for the city station. And that was a day after. And when she told me she didn't have a budget to hire me, she then followed it up with, well, you know what? I actually have a friend at this company called New Dominion Pictures. They're hiring a researcher for this show called A Haunting. And it's a paranormal series. And they need a researcher to basically find stories, interview people over the phone. And I really think that you would be good at it. Basically, it was a researcher. What they do was everything a reporter would do, just behind the scenes. So she was like, you should call this company and just see what's up. So I took the interview and I like fell in love with it. In news, as much as I'm thankful for my time in news, you don't really have the time to develop story and spend the time really getting to know the details. And as a researcher on A Haunting, I had the opportunity to like really tell someone's full story from beginning and end. And it was just so amazing to see, you know, you think about a show on TV and people have no realization of how much that actually takes to make. And I mean, there was a 30-person crew on set, and there was a costume, a wardrobe person, a makeup person, a VFX person. And to see that process from the first time that I picked up a phone call and called these people to talk about their story to like the end, it was like this huge 8-month journey. And I fell in love with storytelling. And yeah, it was amazing. I'm so thankful for my time there. I spent I think 8.5 years at that company. I went from researcher to a supervising producer. I ended up writing my own episodes of A Haunting. I field produced, field directed, traveled the country. I was able to develop and sell my own show about cars. I was able to work on this amazing car show, renovation show for Velocity Channel. And it was actually the only reality show filming in Virginia for a long time. It was the #1 series for Velocity. It's called Phantom Works. And I was able to work on that for 5 years. It really helped me develop and hone my skills. And yeah, I'll never forget that time. I'm still very thankful for that journey and just all that I learned there. So that was my time in Virginia.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So much to recap. I got about a page worth of notes here. I'm on the back already.
That's a lot, and I'm on like margarita and a half.
That's good. Hey, it's Mother's Day. Enjoy it.
Mother's Day.
It's Mother's Day. Yeah. Fantastic. Wow. So you started out as essentially a researcher, making phone calls, getting the scoop, so to speak. This is where you kind of were made aware of, hey, look, there's a lot of people involved in, this little thing that I see on TV. There's so many people involved in the production. Now I understand how it's created. And then you actually learned how to write it and kind of create it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll always need team members. I think the important part of creativity is you need people to bounce your ideas off of them. Like, production can never be like a one-man band. It just can't happen because it's a creative process. So yeah, I ended up working on seasons 5 through seasons 10 on A Haunting. I was able to slowly, each season, kind of work my way up a little bit more until they trusted me enough to write my own episodes. Mm-hmm. And writing is very difficult. It's really fun, but it's really hard. And I think as creative people, we're just emotional and we're connected to our work a lot. And so, you spend weeks writing something and staying up to 2 o'clock in the morning and trying to figure it out and pull the right interview bites. And then a crew would come in and be like, this is weird dialogue, or this is this. And it's really hard to get that feedback because it's like you've worked so hard on this and you've worked, 100 hours to write 20 pages or 30 pages or whatever it is. But it's such a good process to like allow your pride to go away and just be focused on what is the best thing for the show. So it allowed me to do that. It allowed me to just really grow and learn, and thankful for that.
Are you looking for opportunities currently in Los Angeles to flex that muscle of producing and writing and actually, being that person that's taking that responsibility?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm currently looking for opportunities. I feel like my first
open to them, rather open to those.
Yeah. I think my first year here in LA was just trying to survive, honestly. Like, pay my bills, survive, and not be swallowed up by the world of Los Angeles. But I miss writing terribly. And yeah, I love it and I miss it. I'm definitely open to that in the future. And it's something I want to develop more.
Fantastic. Are you looking to that? And that being said, are you looking to get back into your, and get those acting skills out there too? Are you looking to blow that up as well? I mean, you're in the market. You're out here with us.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about acting. I think maybe things here and there. My kids have actually recently gotten really involved in acting. They did a short film this year that's coming out. Really excited about it. A short horror film, actually.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I think I'm better served behind the camera, but we'll see.
You're telling me you're better served behind. Look at your face. That's the face of Miss Virginia, and you're telling me you're better behind the camera. I'm not buying that for 1 second. Mrs. Katie Kirk, I don't think so.
We'll see. We'll see. I am doing, I guess it's a good opportunity for me to talk about my pageantry life currently. So I am competing in Mrs. California this year. Really excited about it. Through the Mrs. Virginia process, since it is Mother's Day, I guess I can speak about this as well. Being a mom and being a wife and being all inclusive in production is overwhelming. And I think as women, we throw ourselves into other situations and we tend not to focus on ourselves. So when I did Mrs. Virginia in 2011 and I won, it was an opportunity for me to take a second and really focus on myself and realign within myself. What am I doing? What makes me happy? What am I focused on? What community things do I care about? And I think that's even more exasperated now that I have 3 kids and I'm a wife and I'm, producing these shows and I'm busy and I travel everywhere. I think if you're not careful, that you can lose yourself. And so for me, pageantry is that grounding effect. It helps me focus on myself. It helps me be a better me, so I can therefore be a better employee, a better wife, a better mom, a better everything. So I am going to be competing for Mrs. California, America. I'm excited about it. I have a lot of work to do. I got to drop some of these Corona pounds that I've been putting on from being inside. For the last, I don't know what, like almost 60 days have we been stuck inside here in California. So,
Well, I speak for yourself. I ain't been inside. I've been running around like crazy. But hey, look, you look fantastic. I mean, that really sounds great. So you said if you're not careful, you can lose yourself in spreading yourself too thin.
yeah.
You're saying that the kind of the competition element of presentation of yourself kind of helps you stay grounded and keep yourself in check. Like, hey, look, I might need to lose a few pounds. I might need to brush up on some of these skills to keep myself in that form that I know that I can be in. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think for me, pageantry is, I'm so busy all the time. I'm a busy person. And I think a lot of times I can just put my needs aside and just focus on like, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to take care of this. And I also think being in production and being in television, it's a very ego driven world. And I think if you're not careful, that it can consume you. For me, pageantry is a way to focus on giving back to my community, focus on the things that I care about the most, and constantly be in self-reflection, asking myself, what do I really care about? What organizations do I want to get involved in? Making yourself get involved in organizations. I think as humans, it's really easy for us to say, I'm so busy, I got this to do. I can't go volunteer at the soup kitchen or the homeless shelter. Being involved in pageantry makes you aware of that and what you're actually devoting your time to. And so it allows me to keep my focus on the right things.
Wow. So you brought up a great point. So you just said, this is great stuff, because when you say pageantry, I'm thinking, okay, I'm parading around. Look at me. I'm so special. Right. But really, it's actually the exact opposite. It's like, hey, look, yeah, I look great, but there's also more to it behind that. Hey, there's that element of me that cares about others. And I've displayed that because look at my resume. Look what I've done. I've been involved in these organizations that have helped people. And this is who I am. And it's important for me to remember that I am this person and continue to be this person and grow in that type of role as well.
Yeah, I think for women especially, it's a constant struggle for whatever reason to like allow yourself to have continued hopes and dreams and continued self-discovery. And so for me, pageantry is a journey of self-discovery. Who I was in 2011 and who I am now, very different people. So I think it constantly is making me think, what do I really feel about this issue? How would I act in that situation? How can I get more involved in my community? Um, yes, it's making me be a better version of myself, but I think it's just such self-discovery. I think people think of pageantry as like this awful situations. Like it's all about, Botox and rhinestones and women are so catty and they're crazy. And look, there is that 100%. There's crazy in every field and there's extremeness in every field. But for the most part, like my pageant sisterhood and the friends that I have found in pageantry, they've changed my life. I mean, I still am actively involved with my coaches I competed in the Miss America system a long time ago, a long, long time ago. And they're still actively involved in my life. They're my champions. They're the people who, when I know I need help, they're praying for me. They're helping me figure things out. And I think it's really just about a sisterhood of empowerment and learning and self-discovery.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Katie. I mean, that really kind of sheds some light on pageantry. A lot of people they might have assumptions about it. They might not have an understanding that, hey, there's a lot more to it than just what you see.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. I mean, we've gone over so much. I mean, I'm so happy that we were able to jump on a call together. Is there anything else that we want to talk about before we kind of wrap things up?
I don't think so. I hope I just didn't ramble too much.
Oh man, tons of value. I mean, like I said, look, I got one page. I got the second page almost full of notes here. And then another, look, what can you and I be doing to collaborate, based on what you've got going on, based on what I've got going on? How can we collaborate and increase our success rate in this market, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it on the phone last week, I guess it was. I think you need to make a return to radio or a return to podcast or whatever this world is. I think you'll always be Joe Mack in my world. And you have so many talents. And I think life allows things to get in the way very quickly. And you have to make sure that you don't allow that to happen. You allow your goals and your visions to continue to manifest. So, if I can help you in any way, I'm 100% down for that. Right now, we're kind of in a weird time with production right now with Corona. We're trying to figure out what's going to happen. I think people need to not be scared. The industry will always be here. There's going to be such a need for content after this. People have watched everything on Netflix. I think I'm on my second round of Tiger King at this point. But I think that we just have to continue to innovate and figure out how we're going to make this work in this ever-changing situation. And I think there's a huge opportunity for you there. And you just have to push through and continue to find your brand and continue to find what you really want to do.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Katie. So, and just to recap, I mean, when you say you're Joe Mack, I mean, what does that mean? What does that mean?
I think that you're just a larger than life personality. Like you are show business. Like you're not, like, yes, you're a salesman, but you're not meant to be a salesman in the traditional sense. You're meant to be in this business. And I think that you just need to figure out exactly what that means today, keep chipping away. Like we talked about earlier, you never know like when things are going to happen. A lot of people think, I had a lot of friends who were like, this move to California was so sudden, you just jumped in, but like there was a lot of years in between there of that, they talk about that realm of success. It's like an iceberg. Like what you actually see is a small amount, but what's underneath that water is, years of hard work and determination and grinding and nobody seeing and nobody caring and nobody giving you a pat on the back. And I'm doing well here, but I'm not winning any Emmys or anything. I'm still in that grind, and I'm just thankful to be working and at a company that loves and appreciates me. And I want to continue to do that. And I think you can't ever lose sight of that. You have to always you can't ever think you made it. Like, I definitely don't even remotely think I'm there yet. You have to always have that grind and that desire to continue to do well, that desire to continue to work hard and fight through the challenges.
Wow, Katie, thank you so much for those kind words. I mean, coming from you, that means a lot. And, you know, it's, if you say it, it must be true. I mean, because you talk about larger than life personalities. I mean, you're definitely one of them for sure. And your background and your backstory is pretty incredible, and your accomplishments, and the fact that you know, you've got 3 kids, you know, it is Mother's Day. I mean, this is definitely this is the perfect podcast. This is the perfect interview. I couldn't ask for more today from a guest.
You're so sweet. Thank you. I had fun catching up. We'll have to actually, we're moving soon. We're buying a house in Santa Clarita. Hopefully we close next week. Say some prayers, but we'll have to have you guys over for dinner, and yeah.
Well, congratulations. That sounds really fantastic. Katie, Barrie, thank you so much once again.